President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi emphasizes that the European Union remains Egypt's leading trade partner. The Egyptian president emphasizes the need for joint efforts to ensure the full implementation of the ceasefire. And Egypt and the European Union reaffirmed their shared ambition to continue deepening their long-term strategic relations. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has described the Egypt-EU summit as a landmark event, the first of its kind between Europe and an Eastern Mediterranean nation. He emphasized that the European Union remains Egypt's leading trade partner and reaffirmed Cairo's commitment to deepening its strategic partnership with Europe. President al-Sisi said discussions covered regional crises including Gaza, Libya and Sudan, highlighting Egypt's efforts to maintain the Gaza ceasefire and calling for European participation in Gaza's reconstruction. He stressed the need for the withdrawal of all foreign forces from Libya and reiterated Egypt's pivotal role in preventing irregular migration and fostering regional stability. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has praised Belgium's principled stance and King Philippe's personal commitment to supporting the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, reflected in Belgium's recognition of the State of Palestine. During their meeting at the Royal Palace in Brussels, King Philippe warmly welcomed President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, praising the deep and historic ties between both countries and Egypt's pivotal role in mediating the Gaza ceasefire. The two leaders discussed regional developments, emphasizing peaceful solutions that preserve state sovereignty and unity. President al-Sisi invited King Philippe to attend the Grand Egyptian Museum's opening in November and expressed Egypt's readiness to expand bilateral investments, tourism and cooperation across multiple sectors. Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has expressed Egypt's appreciation for the honourable stance adopted by the European Parliament in support of the Palestinian cause, notably its call to end the war and alleviate the suffering of Gaza's residents. Meeting European Parliament President Roberta Metsola in Brussels on the sidelines of EU-Egypt summit, President al-Sisi emphasized the need for joint Egyptian-European efforts to ensure the full implementation of the ceasefire, facilitate humanitarian aid and launch Gaza's reconstruction. The Egyptian president also underscored the importance of advancing the EU-Egypt strategic partnership and strengthening the parliamentary dialogue as a bridge between Mediterranean people. The European Parliament President welcomed Egypt hosting of the Gaza Reconstruction and Recovery Conference due in November 2025. European Parliament President Roberto Metsola has thanked Egypt for its decisive role in achieving the Gaza ceasefire, stressing that without the EU efforts of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the agreement would not have been possible. President al-Sisi reviewed Egypt's ongoing efforts to promote regional peace and stability, including mediating the ceasefire and hosting the high-level Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit. He emphasized consolidating the truce, ensuring sufficient aid, humanitarian, and delivering medical care to the wounded. Metsola hailed Egypt's balanced policies and pivotal role regionally, describing it as a cornerstone of Middle Eastern stability. The meeting also discussed curbing illegal migration, expanding legal work and study opportunities, and strengthening parliamentary coordination between Egypt and the European Union. The European Council has welcomed the Gaza ceasefire agreement and the outcomes of the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit, urging all parties to fully implement its phases and avoid actions that could endanger the truce. It reaffirmed support for the two-state solution in line with UN resolutions and also emphasized the unhindered delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza, along with ensuring the independent work of the UN and humanitarian agencies. The Council expressed readiness to help rebuild Gaza and support the Palestinian Authority, called on Israel to de-escalate tensions in the West Bank and halt illegal settlement expansion. It also voiced backing for Lebanon's sovereignty, serious peaceful transition, and enhanced European defense cooperation amidst Russian threats. Egypt and the European Union reaffirmed their shared ambition to continue deepening their long-term strategic relations and cooperation in addressing common global and regional challenges, enhancing mutual interests, and setting priorities for engagement. The final statement of the Egypt-EU summit, attended by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, emphasized that this summit marks a significant milestone in strengthening relations between Egypt and the European Union. It also builds upon the Egypt-EU Association Agreement, the partnership priorities, and the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Agreement. The European Union renewed its commitment to supporting Egypt's efforts to achieve macroeconomic stability and resilience through a support package worth €7.4 billion, aimed at reinforcing the comprehensive strategic partnership as announced in March 2024. The President of Romania has said that he welcomes yesterday's in-depth and constructive discussion in Brussels with Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt. In a post on X, Romania's president affirmed that his country firmly supports the European Union's objective of strengthening political and economic cooperation with Egypt, recognizing its vital role in promoting peace, stability, and regional balance. He said that Egypt remains a key partner in addressing the challenges of the Middle East, and its leadership continues to be instrumental in advancing diplomatic and security efforts. The Romanian president added that in his spirit, Romania reaffirms its commitment to work closely with Egypt to ensure the effective implementation of President Trump's peace plan, which aims to consolidate lasting peace and foster development across the region. Amidst shifting global dynamics, Egypt and the European Union reaffirm a strategic alliance built on peace, stability, and shared regional priorities.
Egypt and the European Union share deep, long-standing ties that were elevated in March 2024 to a strategic partnership. Both sides face interlinked challenges requiring close coordination, foremost among them achieving peace in the Middle East. Regional stability directly affects European security, while Cairo counts on European support for Arab priorities, particularly an end to the Gaza war, rejection of displacement, reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, and a two-state solution. The participation of top European leaders in the Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit, which resulted in the Gaza ceasefire agreement, underscored the depth of Egypt-EU cooperation and Europe's recognition of Cairo's pivotal regional role. Partnership efforts also expanded in combating irregular migration, with the EU endorsing Egypt's approach to address root causes by ending conflicts in migrant-producing countries. The Union has also supported Egypt's hosting of millions of refugees, while Cairo firmly rejects the notion of closed migrant camps.
When there was hope, there is now pain.
On broader regional issues, Egypt and the EU are working to ease tensions in the Red Sea, safeguard global trade routes, ensure maritime security, and help extinguish crises in Sudan, Libya, and the Horn of Africa, while reinforcing cooperation across the Mediterranean. As a regional linchpin and a global partner, Egypt's evolving partnership with the EU remains a cornerstone for stability and prosperity across 3 continents.
And for more analysis, we now move on to Mark Summers in our newsroom. Mark?
Thank you, Ronnie. Yes, we're now joined from Cairo by the former Assistant Foreign Minister, Ambassador Dr. Mohamed Heghezi. Thank you very much for being here with us, Dr. Heghezi. So, President El-Sisi has met with King Philippe of Belgium and has praised Belgium's recognition of Palestine. Do you think we're getting any closer to a consensus when it comes to Palestine from the EU?
I think we need to work with the reliable partner like Belgium and the 11 countries' recognition lately in the New York two-state solution conference. And we have to work hand in hand with our European partner to reach this end mark. This is a strategic goal that requires many communication and contact, not only by Egypt, but also by other Arab and foreign countries, so that we all adhere to the same principles. And we should also understand that there is certain differences in the European ranks that requires more communication with the capitals that is still reluctant to do so.
And do you think there's anything concrete that's going to come out of this meeting, this summit between Egypt and the EU, when it comes to the strategic partnership?
I think the summit yesterday was a clear transformation of the strategic partnership agreement of 2024 into action and reality. This is the first summit of its nature between Europe and a partner like Egypt, and I'm sure that the second round, which will held in Cairo next 2 years, will see the application and the transformation of the 6 pillars of the strategic agreement into action. There were too many agreement points yesterday, and I'm sure that the financial support of the European Union and the call for a strategic financial and investment platform, which President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has called, is a key partnership industry, partnership in investment, partnership in trade. As you know, Mark, Europe is the largest partner to Egypt in terms of current trade balance, and we are talking also about this agreement in the strategic framework of 7.4 billion euros to support Egypt in a variety of issues. And I'm sure the pillars that have been agreed, the 6 pillars, including politics, trade, investments, and energy, agriculture, and many other fields, are very important in shaping the future of our relations with the closest geographical and historical partner to Egypt, which is the European Union.
Indeed, and the EU, of course, pledged 7.4 billion euros to Egypt last year. Are there particular reforms that are attached to the money, and how will that cash translate into jobs for Egyptian people?
This is very important. Egypt is a promising investment hub, and by creating this partenariat, or as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi called for bilateral strategic partnership in trade and in investment. And I'm sure by doing that, Europe also is securing its value chain, being it of agriculture or industry. And I'm sure the stability also of this part of southern European friends will definitely bring peace and tranquility. Take, for example, the illegal migration or the non-official migration. This kind of migration by the role Egypt is playing has stopped since 2016, not only from Egypt, from the other areas of conflict or center of conflict in the Middle East and Africa. So the investment as Egypt approaches the illegal immigration file is so important as it will help settling people in their homeland by increasing kind of investment. Also, Egypt, as the president has announced yesterday in the economic summit in Brussels, and to the official of the EU, Egypt is hosting 10 million brothers and sisters coming from the areas of conflict from the region and elsewhere. And this 10 million should have come to Europe if Egypt did not apply certain laws and also full respect to their calamity. And they are enjoying what the Egyptians are enjoying, education and health and other facilities. So we need support from Europe, and I'm sure they will.
Thank you very indeed. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed Hegazi, Ambassador Dr. Mohammed Hegazi. Thank you very much for being here with us on Q News, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. And it's back to you, Rana.
So much, Mark. And now we move on to the latest developments in Gaza.
والله العظيم ولا حبة رز، والله العظيم ولا حبة عدس. ما فيش أكل، ما فيش شرب، عندي بنت 2.5 صارت تطلع.
Egypt's General Intelligence Service Director has met with the Vice President of the State of Palestine and the President of the Palestinian Intelligence Chief to advance Egypt's ongoing efforts to the crisis in Gaza. Both sides agreed to support and continue implementing the ceasefire agreement while firmly rejecting the Knesset's decision to annex any Palestinian territories. That comes as Cairo is intensifying coordination with the United States to consolidate the Gaza ceasefire and promote a just and lasting peace in the region. Meanwhile, Egypt is hosting talks among Palestinian factions to achieve intra-Palestinian consensus as part of the second phase of President Trump's peace plan. Egypt has dispatched its 57th aid convoy under the Zaid al-Izza Provision of Honor from Egypt to Gaza initiative from Rafah to Gaza via Karm Abu Salim border crossing. The convoy carries over 6,000 tons of urgent humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. It also includes 2,400 tons of food baskets and flour, more than 2,000 tons of vital medical and relief supplies, and around 1,800 tons of fuel, underscoring Egypt's ongoing commitment to supporting the people of Gaza. Since its launch on July the 27th, the Egyptian initiative has sent thousands of tons of diverse aid from baby formula and medicine to food and fuel. With over 35,000 volunteers, the Egyptian Red Crescent continues the coordination efforts, ensuring uninterrupted aid delivery through the Egyptian side of Rafah border crossing despite the prolonged crisis. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has affirmed America's firm commitment to maintaining the Gaza ceasefire. He emphasized that no U.S. troops will be deployed to the Gaza Strip, underscoring Washington's preference for diplomatic and coordinated efforts. Vance confirmed that both Israel and Hamas are upholding the truce and that the United States is closely monitoring compliance to ensure stability. He ruled out any Israeli annexation of the West Bank, reiterating support for regional sovereignty and peace. Vance stressed the critical importance of preserving the ceasefire, highlighting that its success is essential for lasting security, humanitarian relief, and the broader effort to stabilize Gaza and the surrounding region.
I mean, right now, look, there are two basic areas of Gaza. One area is, I don't know, maybe you've got 100,000, 200,000 Gazans living in that area.
The International Court of Justice has affirmed that Israel is obliged to facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid into Gaza, including assistance provided by UN agencies. In a non-binding advisory opinion requested by the UN General Assembly, the Hague-based court said Israel, as an occupying power, must fulfill its obligations under international humanitarian law. The judges stated that Israel must allow and support relief operations under the 4 Geneva Convention, ensuring access to food, water, fuel, and medical supplies. The court also said Israel cannot use security reasons to suspend humanitarian activities or employ starvation as a method of warfare, urging full protection for aid workers and medical facilities. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees said more than 61 million tons of rubble now blanket Gaza, with entire neighborhoods wiped out by Israeli attacks. UNRWA said its humanitarian operations in Gaza have been halted as families search through the debris for water and shelter. The agency warned that living conditions remain catastrophic, with aid unable to reach those in need. Meanwhile, Israeli media reported that Tel Aviv has informed the United States of its continued refusal to allow UNRWA to operate in Gaza, despite the International Court of Justice's ruling urging Israel to facilitate its work. The World Health Organization says Gaza is facing a catastrophic situation due to famine, the collapse of health system, and the spread of disease. World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom said around 15,000 patients in Gaza are still waiting for approval to receive medical care outside the enclave. He added that the organization will continue urging for all crossings to be open to accelerate medical evacuations, stressing that the humanitarian and health situation remains dire.
Some have paid the ultimate price. According to Gaza's Ministry of Health, almost 1,800 health workers have been killed, and at least
buses and ambulances carrying Palestinian patients left Khan Yunis early Wednesday as part of a medical evacuation operation led by the World Health Organization. WHO said 41 critical patients and 145 companions were evacuated from Gaza, while more than 15,000 others, including 3,800 children, are still awaiting transfer abroad. Many are suffering from war injuries, while others need urgent care for chronic conditions such as cancer and heart disease. Since the conflict began, over 7,000 patients have been evacuated, with Egypt receiving more than half of them. And moving on to Lebanon, where Israeli warplanes carried out a series of intense airstrikes on several areas in Lebanon's eastern Bekaa region today, targeting locations along both the eastern and western mountain chains. According to Israeli media, the strikes hit Hezbollah positions in the Bekaa Valley, marking a major escalation inside Lebanese territory. Israel's army radio said that the Air Force targeting a training camp and precision missile production site belonging to Hezbollah in Bekaa and northern Lebanon. The army spokesperson claimed the facilities were used by the group's elite Radwan force to plan attacks against Israel and its military. Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun has called for reactivating the ceasefire monitoring committee to curb Israeli violations and restore calm along the southern border. Aoun reaffirmed Lebanon's full commitment to the November ceasefire agreement, stressing that any army continues expanding its deployment south of the Litania River. He urged Israel to withdraw from occupied Lebanese territories, describing it as essential to preserving stability and preventing a return to war. Turkey's defense ministry announced today that Turkish peacekeeping forces will continue supporting the Lebanese army under a renewed UNIFIL deployment mandate aimed at strengthening Lebanon's stability and defense capabilities. The Turkish parliament this week extended troop mandates in Syria and Iraq for 3 years and in Lebanon for 2. The ministry said efforts will continue to enhance regional security, stability, and the Lebanese army's capacity. Meanwhile, Ankara's criticizing Israel's genocidal policies warned that the United States-backed Syrian Democratic Forces remain a security threat, accusing them of refusing to integrate into Syria's central administration despite a March agreement. And now moving on to Ukraine, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said today that the European Union's 19th package of sanctions against Russia marks a very important step in confronting Moscow's aggression. He also praised Europe's continued support for Ukraine's sovereignty. Zelensky welcomed new U.S. sanctions on Russian oil firms, calling them a positive signal of Washington's commitment. He reaffirmed that Ukraine will not cede any territory, describing national sovereignty as a red line. On that note, he urged allies to provide long-range missiles to strengthen defenses and reclaim occupied regions, as the EU's new sanctions include a ban on Russian liquefied natural gas.
Which is important in security guarantees for the future.
Russia has denounced the latest U.S. sanctions targeting its oil giants Rosneft and Lukoil, insisting that the country remains immune to such economic measures. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister spokesperson has said the move would backfire. She has added that Russia has built strong resilience against Western restrictions and will keep strengthening its economy, especially in energy. On the note, Moscow has also criticized the European Union's 19 sanctions package, which bans imports of Russian liquefied natural gas. According to Russia, the EU's measures hurt the bloc itself more than Moscow. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin, but before we wrap up, here's a recap of the top stories making headlines this hour. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi emphasizes that the European Union remains Egypt's leading trade partner. The Egyptian president emphasizes the need for joint efforts to ensure the full implementation of the ceasefire. And Egypt and the European Union reaffirm their shared ambition to continue deepening their long-term strategic relations. For more stories and live updates, follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at QNewsEG. From all of us here, thank you very much for watching and stay tuned for more updates and analysis on Qnews.